Since the 2022 season is basically over, we're looking forward to 2023, and there are two tight ends that I really want on my team right now that are going at major values in startup drafts. Or if you're already in an established league, maybe you want to trade for these guys. The first player is Dallas Goedert, who I think has been on the wrong end of some recency bias after his injury back before Thanksgiving, which has now placed him at tight end 8 in December ADP. But look at what Goedert was doing prior to the injury, because he was on his way to a breakout season. From weeks 1 through 10, he was the tight end 4 overall and the tight end 3 in points per game. He was on a 17 game pace of 100 targets, 80 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He would have joined a very elite group of 16 tight ends since 2000 to post a season with 1,000 or more receiving yards. I won't name the entire list on here because it's a little too long, but basically think of every elite tight end over the last 2 decades. Add Gary Barnidge in there, and that's the type of player that Dallas Goedert has become, or at least was starting to become. To me, this really isn't that hard of a sell. His situation is fantastic, as the Eagles look like one of the best and most stable offenses in the league right now. Goedert himself just turned 28 years old yesterday, January 3rd, which is basically the beginning of the prime of a tight end's career. And like I mentioned, he was just on pace for a 1,000-yard season as a potential top 3 fantasy tight end, definitely top 5. Yet he's going as the tight end 8 in startups behind Dalton Schultz and Pat Freiermuth. Why? I really believe this price drop is just because of his injury, so that's why I want to swoop in now, grab him at a discount in startups or in trades before people really start catching on to Dallas Goedert's upside and what he did this season. The second player going as a major value right now is Evan Engram, who's all the way down at tight end 24 in December ADP. Now, Engram may not have won you your championship this year, but he certainly got you there with 3 massive games in weeks 14, 15, and 16, where he averaged 9 receptions and over 110 yards per game. Week 17 was a little different. That game was basically over at halftime. The Jaguars pulled all their starters early, so it is what it is. But up until the championship, Evan Engram was winning you your league. But Engram was on a roller coaster all season long for fantasy. He had stretches of games where he was really good, just like he just did, like in weeks 5 through 8, and then he had stretches where he was really bad, like weeks 3 and 4, and then 9 through 12. But that's the name of the game for the tight end position in fantasy, unfortunately. Nearly every tight end not named Kelsey or Andrews has a floor of 2 to 3 fantasy points per game, but it's the ones who have the ceiling of 20 plus points per game that are the keepers, and Evan Engram is one of those guys. Yes, Evan Engram is a free agent this offseason, as he only signed a one-year prove-it deal with Jacksonville, but after what he just did to end the year, both sides should 100% be willing to make a longer-term contract happen. So I do expect Engram to be back as a tight end 1 in Jacksonville next season, but on the chance that he's not, there is risk involved in terms of where he ends up and how much that team would utilize him. But a lot of that risk is mitigated by his tight end 24 price, especially when he's going behind guys like Jelani Woods, Chigoziem Okonkwo, Daniel Bellinger, Isaiah Likely. These guys are the fun, shiny new toys right now, and they have a lot of potential, don't get me wrong, but that's all it is right now. It's just potential. They haven't done anything close to what Engram has done in his career. And then how many times have we seen young, hopeful tight ends just flame out into nothingness? I will pass on all of those guys and just take Evan Engram instead. He's not fun. He's not sexy, but he's a major value compared to what he can give you on a weekly and yearly basis. And if you're looking for more players that are currently values at their position in Dynasty startups or even in trades right now, I highly recommend checking out this video on wide receivers right up here.